Hello and welcome to The Pulse. In part 2 of tonight's show, the Gay Pride Parade in Hong Kong last Saturday was the best attended ever. For the first time, a government-appointed official was also there. But that doesn't mean that the struggle for acceptance and equal rights is even close to being over. First, though, the one thing that many Hong Kong politicians and government figures from all sides of the spectrum seem to agree on is that the Philippines should be made to apologise and pay for its mishandling of the hostage crisis in 2010 that resulted in the deaths and injuries of Hong Kong tourists. This, despite the fact that last weekend, Typhoon Haiyan is now estimated to have killed at least 4,500 people, and the country is continuing to face a crisis of immense proportions.
Super Typhoon Haiyan, known as Typhoon Yolanda in the Philippines, first hit last Thursday, causing damage nationwide, but particularly devastating Samar Island and Tacloban City on Leyte Island. It was the strongest typhoon this year, with its highest wind speed recorded as around 230 kilometers an hour. Television producer Leslie Ng, there to film an RTHK and Hong Kong Observatory documentary on storms, experienced the strength of the typhoon firsthand.
我哋2點幾嗰陣時就去到市政府大廈，其實4點幾至5點零鐘嗰陣時咧，個風嚟得好大嘅。其實我哋咧就覺得，喂嗰陣時已經係好犀利過我哋嘅8號風球啊，即係去到10號風球。其實7點鐘到就突然之間好戲劇性咁，啲風加速得好犀利，然之後好大，突然之間好似成個大樓咧有啲震動咁，然之後啲窗咧就開始有一個窗係爆咗。爆咗之後咧，啲風啊、雨啊不停咁縫聲咁縫入嚟，然之後咧裏邊咧再唔同嘅窗啊開始逐個咁爆啦。咁我哋原本坐喺 office 啊、坐喺會議室啲人咧就一路撤退。
Millions have been affected by the widespread destruction. Where there were buildings, there is now rubble. Many are homeless. Infrastructure and communications are damaged. Water, medicine and shelter are in short supply.
They are very desperate. I mean, they're very desperate to get goods or relief because goods are not really enough for everybody at the moment. Not because we don't have enough relief, but because, again, of the shipment challenges in bringing them to the ground. Well, the situation on the ground right now is that many of the people are moving away from the city of Tacloban. The city of Tacloban is one of the cities that we believe that was hardest hit since there is economic activity, limited water to drink, limited food, and the situation there is very difficult.
Many Filipinos in Hong Kong remain worried about their relatives at home. For some, it's been impossible to get through on the phone.
My family, my mother's hometown is in Leyte, and it's in Tacloban. So we have a lot of families who are there, and some of them we don't know the whereabouts because there isn't any communication, and we don't know when the communications are going to resume. So we're doing what we can through the social media.
I have a sister-in-law that the house and his mother died because the typhoon Yolanda typhoon victims. And then so I have to meet my sister-in-law to give something because my employer gives something to her. This is flashlight, and then mask.
Today I send money to my town to give blessing to them to buy something for the food because I know some of the barangay areas they have no relief good coming from the governments.
Our organization is running a relief and rehabilitation campaign here in Hong Kong, and so far there are several groups who have expressed support to this initiative. We have also open our centers for providing some sort of counseling to those migrant workers who have lost their family members, or those who are still looking for their family members.
Around the world, governments and charities have pledged support. The United States quickly offered $20 million in humanitarian aid, 90 Marines, an aircraft carrier, and logistics support. Japan has pledged $10 million, including tents and blankets, plus the support of up to 1,000 soldiers and a 25-person medical team. China offered a much criticized $100,000 on Monday, with a matching one from the Chinese Red Cross. In the wake of that criticism, it later agreed to provide an additional 12.6 million Hong Kong dollars for relief efforts in the form of blankets, tents and other materials. The Hong Kong government hasn't said how much it will donate, but has proposed a supplementary provision of 40 million Hong Kong dollars to the Disaster Relief Fund to enable relief organisations to provide support. Meanwhile, the government insists it has no intention of delaying economic sanctions against the Philippines, arising from the 2010 Manila hostage tragedy.
我哋同菲律賓政府喺度交涉緊嘅，由於人質事件而引申出嚟嘅問題咧，同今次因為菲律賓嘅人民一次特大嘅颱風受到嘅影響咧，係兩回事嚟嘅。我哋今次嘅工作咧係純粹係基於人道嘅立場，而我相信咧呢個亦都係普遍嘅市民咧係會支持。
With us in the studio is Chan Mei-ling, the International Programme Director of Oxfam Hong Kong. Can I ask you, because Oxfam Hong Kong is the only Oxfam that's working with a government who is intending to impose sanctions on the Philippines, whereas the rest of the world is intending to propose aid to the Philippines, is this causing a problem for you?
I want to emphasize the generosity of the government and also a lot of Hong Kong people, including a lot of Filipino friends in Hong Kong. They actually have been very generous in donating a lot of resources and money to us and other charities. On the other issue, I think it is a separate issue. The Hong Kong government and as well as the whole society are trying to work out a solution. So I want to look at the upside, which is really facing a lot of Filipino society and friends. If we don't help, there will be more hurt on them.
And there will, of course, be official aid coming from the government, despite the work that you're doing.
Yes,
How is that going?
We are planning to propose. At the moment, our plan is 3 million Hong Kong dollars. But what is the issue is that Oxfam Hong Kong and the other Oxfams all over the world are very professional in water purification system, which is big, medium size we put into our community. And it is not one-to-one, the kind of like food bag. So it is maybe an issue for the government to
because the government wants only one-to-one aid.
Donating a very personal foodstuff or other materials on personal basis. This is a bit difficult for us, but I hope the government will consider a little bit more on this issue.
Okay, so what is it that you're doing on the ground at the moment?
Yes, what we are doing, if you look at the information in the media, from East Samar, which is at the northeastern part of Cebu, and then down to Cebu, and then also now you can actually discover more and more places also have devastating situation. So in Samar, we have people on the ground also giving out hygiene pack, and we want to actually cover 250,000 people in a few days, in a few weeks. And also in Cebu, the northern tips of Cebu, you can also see a lot of devastating scenes. We also want to actually looking at like cover like 20,000 families, also hygiene pack, and also installation of purification system for water, clean water.
Now, I mean, this is an enormous disaster, but unfortunately, it's it's Oxfam's business to be involved in enormous disasters. I mean, how does this compare with others that you've had experience of?
A lot of people now comparing tsunami in 2004. It is actually good to remember this big disaster that hit us almost like 10 years ago. And at that time, we see actually around, I think more than 200,000 people died. You can see from Sumatra in Indonesia, and also people in Thailand, Sri Lanka, and India are affected. I mean, we will say that it is actually less serious this time. It is serious in terms of, I think, economic loss, and also people's lives. I think this is increasing. Still, we are still finding bodies around. So we don't underestimate the current disaster in the Philippines.
Now, I know that in the past, charities who've operated in the Philippines have been critical of the Philippine government, its ability to coordinate with them. Is this proving to be the case now?
I think in this particular disaster, there are a lot of complaints. I think we listen, we see that. But in a way that you see the scale is very, very big. And it is the strongest tropical cyclone to make landfall in history. And I think that there are a lot of gaps in the system, but I think it is too early to point fingers. We have to review the whole situation and how to improve. And we always want to assist the government and local NGOs to improve the system.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back after the break.